So, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today for the cohort 8 for 2020. Today's cohort is about Roads and Transport Authority challenges, and I am Hinda Sameti from Dubai Future Accelerators. Will take you, myself and Veronica, through the presentation today to elaborate more about the challenges. So the webinar, to be informed, will be recorded and uploaded into our Dubai Future Accelerator YouTube channel and might be shared with the interested companies. I'll take you through today's agenda. First of all, my colleague Veronica will introduce you to Dubai Future Accelerator and what do we do. Then I'll take you through the program format. Then RTA's team, or Roads and Transport Authority, as we refer to them, will introduce the entity and will take you through the challenges. And then Veronica again will handle how to apply for the challenges, and we will announce the application deadlines. And we will open the chance for you to ask your questions, and hopefully we will answer and clarify all your questions. If you have any questions, please feel free at any time to post down your question throughout the Q&A function at the bottom of the page. Just to let you know, the chat option is disabled in the webinar today. Veronica, if you can introduce the Dubai Future Accelerators.
Yes, thank you so much, Hind, and welcome everyone to the Dubai Future Accelerator's first webinar for the RTA Challenge. I know that myself and our team are very excited to have finally launched Cohort 8. And I'm glad I have the opportunity to tell you a little bit more about the Dubai Future Accelerators. So the DFA, as what we call it for short, it's an initiative by the Dubai Future Foundation, which is part of the government of Dubai, and it was initiated back in 2016. Now, when we look into the inspiration and into why the Dubai Future Accelerators was created, it was inspired by His Highness Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, who is the Vice President and Prime Minister of the United Arab Emirates and the ruler of Dubai. And back in 2016, he shared a quote regarding the future, and it said that the future belongs to those who can imagine it, design it, and execute it. And therefore, the entire Dubai Future Foundation and Dubai Future Accelerators was created. And moving on, we can see that we really wanted to focus on how to design the future with the Dubai Future Accelerators. Now we see that Dubai Future Accelerators is a bridge to facilitate between two very distinct and very important stakeholders. On one side, we have startups and scale-ups that have innovative solutions and disruptive technologies coming from all over the world. And then we also have government and private sector organizations from Dubai and the UAE. And the Dubai Future Accelerators creates this bridge that enables the co-creation of challenges and enables collaboration and discussions to enable the implementation of these technologies. And for us, Dubai is a test bed and a launch pad to be able to attract and be able to test the latest technologies in the market. And today we're here to actually discuss the two different challenges that we have with RTA. And this is why we're really excited to be able to answer any of your questions and to tell you a little bit more about the program.
So thank you, Veronica. I'll be taking you through the program format and the selection process of the program and the cohort. So the program consists of two phases. The first phase, or phase 1, is the preparation and the pitch phase. So it will be among 4 weeks of virtual program. The first 3 weeks will be dedicated to know more about Roads and Transport Authority, their challenges, what is Roads and Transport Authority, and what outcome they are looking for. And during the last week, which is the fourth week, all companies who is selected for phase one will be pitching their solution to Roads and Transport Authority. Phase one will take place from the 1st of November to the 26th of November. Phase two is dedicated for the proof of concept. It will be around 6 weeks, an in-resident program in Dubai, and it's mainly to work on your solution of the proof of concept, which will take place on the 17th of January to the 25th of February of 2021. The selection process. So basically, how can you be selected for phase one, which is the preparation and pitch? First stage, as you all know, it's open now and you can submit your written applications for both two challenges by RTA. So during the first stage, we will be evaluating your submitted written application. And if it was approved, you will be going through the second stage, which is the invitation to a video interview to get to know more about the company and the solution you are introducing to RTA. Uh, the Bifuture Accelerator team, who will be conducting the video interview, will be noting down and evaluating all the points and sharing them with the RTA team for them to make the decision on the shortlisted applicants that will be joining phase one. So basically, four companies will be selected per challenge. And since we have two challenges for RTA, then we will have overall 8 companies joining us for phase one. As mentioned, phase one is more about knowing RTA, what they are expecting as a solution for their challenges in order to prepare your pitch that will be conducted during the fourth week of the phase. Um, Stage four, which is the selection for phase two. So after the pitch day, RTA will be making a decision of accepting up to 2 companies per challenge that will be invited for the resident program, which is the proof of concept. Since we have two challenges, then 4 companies will be joining us for phase two. We will be organizing your flight, your visa, your accommodation for up to 2 full team members to join us for phase two to make sure that all team members will have the chance to be part of phase two, which is the proof of concept. Before the end residents, we will, of course, arrange the webinar to clarify any questions before arriving to Dubai. If you have any concerns, we will clarify everything before joining us for phase two, which is the proof of concept. 6 weeks in Dubai, up to 2 companies per challenge. What is expected and what is happening during phase one and phase two? So during phase one, as mentioned, it's the preparation and pitch. It's a 4 weeks virtual program. During the 4 weeks, we will work hand in hand with a roads and transport team to clearly understand their challenge requirements and current processes. This will be happening to showcase that your solution is the right fit for the challenges by presenting your pitch at the end of phase one. Phase two, which is the proof of concept, it is dedicated to test your solution in Dubai, to present your outcome to senior decision makers in order to make the final decision by the RTA in order to select the company or the solution they want to collaborate with. What are other things that is happening during phase two? So during the second phase in Dubai, we will also host a variety of workshops and introduce you to our network. The workshop will help you build up your business in Dubai either during or after the program and will introduce you to the local business culture. This is a great opportunity as well to network and build collaboration with other partners located in our ecosystem, Area 2071, which we will introduce and go through further during the program and the phases. The Area 2071 consists of startups, private and government entities, and of course, we will introduce you to our ecosystem investors if it's. So the selected applicants for phase 2 will be invited to a 6-week in-resident program in Dubai. This is of course dependent on the COVID travel restriction, and we will be covering the travel and visa and accommodation for up to 2 full team members for each company. And there is no equity taken for the companies. So we'll get the chance now to meet our future team from Roads and Transport Authority. Ragas and Alan will take you through Roads and Transport Authority, what are they doing and their challenges.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ragas Al-Ansari. I'm Senior Engineer in the Future and Visioning section in Roads and Transport Authority in Dubai. So my colleague Alan and myself will take you through introduction on the Roads and Transport Authority in general, and also to the challenges for the Cohort 8 in the Dubai Future Accelerators program. So for those who's not familiar with Roads and Transport Authority in Dubai, we'll start with our vision and mission. So our vision is safe and smooth transport for all. And our mission is to develop and manage integrated and sustainable world-class roads and transportation systems, provide pioneering services to all the stakeholders, and support Dubai's vision through shaping the future, preparing policies and legislations, adopting technologies and innovations, and implementing world-class practices and standards. So mainly our areas or focuses in the Roads and Transport Authority, everything related to the mobility and transportation in the Emirate of Dubai, so including all the public transport services. For example, we have the public buses, we have the rail projects, including the tram and the metro in Dubai. We also have the marine services, including Ferry Dubai, the Abras and the water taxis, also all the taxi services. The soft mobility, we're enhancing our network for the soft mobility, including the pedestrian pathways and the biking tracks. All related roads work, the bridges, the tunnels, all construction and maintenance in terms of the roads, the parking facilities, and the licensing and registration for all the vehicles in the Emirate of Dubai. So this is in general our focus areas in Roads and Transport Authority. And now my colleague Alan will start with the challenge
one. Thank you, Ragas. Good afternoon or morning, wherever you are, to everybody. So I'm going to introduce the first challenge that we're setting for this cohort. And this challenge is, I think, with COVID-19, it's become a particularly challenging one. We want, in any case, and we've started at RTA to roll out and introduce shared mobility services, so mobility sharing services. And these have been going very well, but with COVID-19, the whole notion of shared mobility and sharing in general, not just in transport, but particularly, has become more problematic. So the challenge that we are setting here for this cohort is, how can we imagine and create new mobility sharing services that can help public transport in the situation during and coming out of COVID-19. And we're looking for solutions that can work with COVID-19, that don't require major infrastructure change, and can be implemented quite rapidly. Next slide, please. So the questions that we are asking you to think about and ideally come up with solutions for are, can be summed up in these 3 points here. What if there was a transport platform for citizens to share different modes of transport? In other words, yeah, how can we facilitate the exchange and the sharing of different modes of transport between people resident in Dubai? And the second question, what if citizens could share bikes, cars, and other smaller personal modes between each other? And what, finally, new modes might RTA itself be able to introduce for citizens? So what are ideas for modes that are not present already in Dubai that could be rolled out by RTA that citizens could use? And the opportunity coming out of this is to reimagine the transport options and experience after the COVID-19 has disappeared from the picture. So how can we continue with this move towards shared and soft mobility options that will continue to work even with the more hesitant and cautious attitudes of travelers that have been brought on by the COVID-19. And so what are we looking for altogether in the end? We're looking for new modes of new modes of shared mobility with attractive and sustainable business models for RTA and for customers. And we're looking for future shared mobility modes and services such as scooters, e-bikes, mopeds, or other solutions that make shared mobility attractive for citizens and restore confidence in shared mobility. And if that wasn't clear enough already from what I've said, the scope of this challenge specifically excludes existing modes of public transport such as public buses, metro, tram, and marine vessels, marine vehicles. So this is the challenge that we are setting. We think that hope that it's fairly clear for you, but I look forward to any questions on it. The fact that it's fairly simple to explain doesn't mean that it's not challenging. I think it's a particularly challenging one to combine shared mobility with a kind of post-COVID nervousness, but I'm sure that you will be up to it, and I look forward to taking your questions in a few minutes.
So moving on with our second challenge, which is how can we have integrative and community-based transport planning? I mean, we all know that RTA is a customer-focused entity since we're providing mobility services for all the people in Dubai. So we're focusing on people here. So how can we enhance our engagement with the public and hear from Dubai residents who are familiar with their mobility needs, whether it's in their local neighborhood where they live or where they work. So we really want to enhance this factor of engagement and participation with the people. So the questions that we're asking here, in the next slide, please. What if there was a gamification platform for citizens to plan their areas based on their needs? And what if citizens' ideas could be crowdsourced through a community competition, for example? And what if RTA could co-plan some transport routes with the citizens? So we have an opportunity here where we can increase direct engagement with the public to have like more flexible, more approachable as an entity, and to engage public in the mobility planning process. And the most important point that we want to mention here is that we're looking for creative and innovative ideas. I mean, of course, we can do it the traditional way where we conduct workshops with the community people and we ask them what their needs and their ideas and their suggestions and so on. But we actually want more innovative ideas here and more interactive approaches. So what we're looking for here, on the next slide, please. What we're looking for here is more, as I said, interactive and innovative ways to engage public in the transport planning process. So it could be a platform integrated in our apps, in our RTA apps. We have around 3 to 4 apps, or a game integrated in the social media channels. Everyone now is using social media, so we can maybe make use of that. Or use your imagination. I mean, it could be any creative solution. So we're not setting the limits for a specific output or channel or media here, but you can like be really creative in which kind of channels and approaches that will attract people to use, and we can have like more interactive and fun way to have people ideas, people feedback, and people suggestions in a way that we can have it as an input in the transport and mobility planning in the Emirate of Dubai. So this is about the second challenge, and if you have like any questions, then we will be more than happy to answer it in the end of the webinar.
Thank you, Ragas and Alan, for the introduction and the brief about the challenges. Veronica now will take you through how to apply for the challenges.
Yes, thank you so much, Hind. And I guess everyone is asking themselves how they can apply to these two challenges. So I'll quickly take you through the steps. So if you log on and you go into programs.dubaifuture.gov.ae, this is going to be the landing page where you will first start by creating your own future ID. And this is where you'll be able to find all of the challenges, and in this case for the RTA challenge. And creating your future ID is for us, one, it's a personal ID and it's a company ID. It's basically a summary of your organization, and you need to complete all of these steps to be able to apply to the challenge. So as you will see, the first step, you will put in your email, you agree to the terms and conditions, and then when we move on to the next step, you're going to choose your password, and moving on to the next page, you're going to get an OTP to be able to a verification code to verify yourself, and we'll have an extra two-factor authentication as well. And moving on, you have to complete all of your future ID to be able to apply to the challenge. So as you can see, it asks you for a variety of links, organizations, biographies, your first name, last name, nationality. So please make sure you complete your personal profile. If there are missing parts of your profile, you will be able to see these as highlighted in your future ID. Also recommend that you can do this on your desktop. It's much easier. After completing your personal future ID as an entrepreneur and as an individual, you will then start by creating an organization. The organization is the startup or the company that you are going to be applying for the challenge with. So you start by creating, putting in your organization name, and that should then complete. And then you will upload the rest of the information, ask you about, we have a whole list of questions, and these questions will support us in being able to evaluate your application. And I think we will leave the floor open for any questions. We're just going to have a look here on the Q&A, and we can also answer some of these questions live. I can see some of the questions is, I think that was, Fahim is asking whether is shared mobility allowed in Dubai, and what are the rules that are limitations for prospective applicants? Maybe some of our colleagues at RTA would be able to shed some light on that.
In terms of shared mobility, I mean, yes, of course, it's allowed in RTA. We're having lots of shared mobility options in terms of like bikes, and we recently had the bus on demand service in Dubai. So these are some of examples of the shared mobility, and in terms of rules and limitations, I mean, for us, the thing is that we're looking for is it just has to be safe mode. But in terms of rules, I mean, here in the Dubai Future Accelerators, we're actually looking for we want to be more creative, so we're looking for different options. We don't want to look into the limitations for the time being, but maybe later on in the second stages of this challenge, we can like sit together and specify like where we can have this kind of shared mobility and in terms how we integrated with the public transport and so on.
Thank you for answering that. And I think you also were able to answer another question, which was bus on demand still working? So that would be a yes.
Yeah.
Following on to, we have another question regarding, are drones allowed as part of the first challenge?
Drones, I mean, in terms of, because we're here looking for options for the people to use as a service or as a mobility option. So like drones, if they're for the people, then that would be part like of one of the projects that we're looking at or we're working on in RTA, which is the aerial taxis. So we already have that in the plan, but if it's like different option or different mode, and it's for people, I mean, here we're focusing on transporting people, not things or goods. So yeah, maybe why not? We can look into it.
Perfect, thank you. I can see another question from Nasreen from Blue Wave AI. Are you considering the sustainability goals as part of the solutions? For example, maximizing the use of e-bikes and electric vehicles and ensure that their charging comes from renewable sources?
Okay, so the sustainability goals, of course, I mean, it's one of the strategic goals that we're having in RTA. And this is why we're also looking more into the shared mobility options here, because it's more sustainable. And I mean, most of the small options or small modes of the shared mobility are working in electric or like more sustainable or green energy options. So yes, for sustainability, it's definitely there.
Perfect. And thank you for answering that. We have another question regarding the community engagement challenge. Could we give some concrete examples in mobility planning where you want people to participate?
Here we're looking into all the options that we have in terms of mobility planning. I mean, as I said before, that we have different modes. We have public buses, we have rail, trams, the metro, marine, whatever. So all these options, we can have like people feedback in terms of them, like how can we plan it for the future and how we can reroute or direct some routes or establish a new route. So all of these parts of the strategic planning for the mobility in RTA. So we want to have people inputs in that. So we're not like specifying like one mode or one option of mobility, but the whole network of mobility.
Thank you, Ragas. Moving on to the next question. Do you also provide, so Rajim is asking, do you also provide technology upgrading support to meet the requirements or need a ready to start technology?
This is Alan. I promised Rajas I would try and answer a question as well. But this one, to be honest, I need a little bit more help with the, I'm not quite sure what you're asking. Is this, are you talking about enhancing an existing technology. Rajiv, if you're there, maybe you could, I'm not sure if you're allowed to speak in this on this Zoom, but provide a little bit more information.
Maybe we can unmute Rajiv. Just a minute. Rajiv, you can unmute your, yes, elaborate more.
Hi, hello, hi, hello everyone. Can you please hear me?
Yes,
we can hear you.
So I'm Rajiv calling from India. So we are the largest not-for-profit platform in India. It's called Green Car. So we have some solutions in terms of shared mobility. Okay, but that may not be up to the mark or a standard that you may be looking at. We have a technology which through which people should do shared thing, but in case of we need any upgradation or we need some sort of a support, technology support, okay, to upgrade our applications, okay, to software. So you will help us in doing that, or we need to invest ourselves?
right. Okay. I think that certainly for the period of the cohort, during the cohort itself, then we wouldn't be providing kind of technological support to you in that way. I think that you would need to apply with explain your solution, and then as part of that, you'll need to define what you would be able to achieve during the cohort itself. So it doesn't rule out that in order to apply it widely, you might afterwards need some support, and within reason, I think RTA would do its best to support you there. But I wouldn't count on a major kind of new technology program or something being implemented by RTA to support it. So you should try to work within the reasonable means. I think in the challenge itself, I think we talked about something ready to implement fairly easily and quickly, and that would imply no major kind of infrastructure work to be done. I hope that goes some way.
Yeah, thanks for clarification. Thanks, bye.
Okay, so Fahim is asking to elaborate more about the proof of concept finances. If they need to bring in AV pods over, will those costs be covered?
Fahim, I think that again at the cohort time, this would not be the case. I mean, there may be some exceptions if it's considered particularly important and the costs are not high. So I wouldn't completely rule it out. But again, during the relatively short cohort period, particularly this time that you would be here in Dubai, I don't think that at this stage we would be shipping anything out. Again, if the goal of the cohort is that afterwards there's enough interest generated so that proof of concept is set up, and at that stage it will be possible to envisage moving material around, but not during the initial stage of the cohort.
Okay, thank you. So we have a question regarding the number of companies that will be joining phase 2 in Dubai and phase 1. So for each challenge, 4 companies will be joining phase 1, and then 2 will be selected to join phase 2 in Dubai. Okay, we have a question from Nasreen, which is a Blue Wave. Do you have historical data pertaining the ride sharing, specifically for your electric bikes or EVs? to be used for building artificial intelligence-based solution.
And okay, for that, for the historical data, I believe that we have for some modes, but not all of them. For example, for the bikes, I don't think that we have data for that yet. But we can like provide some of the historical data that we have in terms of shared mobility.
Okay. We have another question asking about autonomous vehicles. Are they allowed in Dubai?
For the autonomous vehicles, we're having like a long-term strategy in terms of adopting the autonomous, but because we all know that the technology is not mature 100% yet, so we cannot have it like mixed with the regular traffic. But we're doing piloting in specific areas in Dubai, and that's of course through studies and evaluating that they are safe to operate and all these kind of evaluation criteria. Then we can launch the service.
I didn't understand that.
Sorry?
Can you continue, please?
Yes. So we're actually choosing like specific areas for the autonomous vehicles to be operated, but only for pilots for the time being, like not operating as a service. So we're just testing for the time being or doing pilot in specific areas for the autonomous vehicles and to make sure that they are safe to operate and not to be mixed with the traffic or with the pedestrians. I hope it's clear.
Thank you, Raras. We have another question asking about are digital signage solution fit to challenge 2?
Not really, because a digital signage it's like one-way information or convey information for the public, but we want it the other way around. We want to get the information from the public and have a feedback from them. So I don't think that fits here with this challenge.
Okay. So what results we have to provide by the end of phase 1 and phase 2, a presentation pitch or MVP? So I think for phase 1, it's more of a presentation pitch around your solution. After working hand-to-hand with the Roads and Transport Authority to learn more about their challenge and what they're expecting. And by phase 2, it's more about testing your solution, a proof of concept in Dubai. What kind of data sets you may provide us to test during the contest?
Just to go back to the last thing, I mean, it depends very much, the question before, on the scale of what you're proposing and the type of hardware that you need for your solution. So obviously, if you're coming to Dubai and you're talking about autonomous vehicles or something, then as we've mentioned, you wouldn't be bringing them with you at this stage. But some solutions, particularly software, electronic solutions, platform, and things like that, you may well hopefully be able to do some kind of MVP or early prototype during the cohort. So just that's the different types of solution provided. And the question after that you signaled, Hind, it was what kind of data sets?
Yes, you may provide us to test during the contest or the challenge.
These data sets, you will be working in RTA or with RTA, and you will be assigned a project manager working with you during the time that you work here, and that person will do his or her best to get hold of the data that you need from the different parts of RTA. Some types of data will be easier to get than others, but the whole point of having this support from RTA will be to facilitate that, and it will be in our interest to do it, obviously, to get the best results. So it's hard to give a precise answer there, but we would do our best to get hold of the data that you need for these solutions. We're aware that a lot of the kinds of solutions you may want to propose will rely on that data. So obviously we'll do our best to get hold of it when it's needed.
Thank you. So we have a question. And how can we check whether we fit to the contest in advance? So I think we got this question at the beginning of the webinar. I think by now the challenges are a bit clear. And if you have any questions further, please do type them down in the Q&A area. You can also visit our website and go through the details about the challenges from RTA.
I believe, Hind, one of the questions, if I may answer, is whether a company can apply or whether it's an individual. And ideally for this challenge, what we focus on as phase 2 is about coming to deploy a proof of concept or POC with the RTA, that we do look for companies that do have their own license. So entrepreneurs would be too early. And ideally your solution should be ready to deploy at least at proof of concept level. So we're looking for a company that has a product that has previously been tested. It's okay for it to be an early stage and for it to be disruptive, but definitely a company that has a company trade license.
Thank you. We have a question from Fahim. So they're asking about the second challenge. Any data you could share or things that you're looking for with respect to Expo 2020? Are there some indicators you have for areas that you would like to get customers from, but are not represented by bus routes?
Okay, for the Expo 2020, I mean, we're looking into this planning process in general, not specifically for Expo 2020. We're talking about on the level of Dubai network, mobility network in general. Some indicators you have for areas that you would like to get customers. Also, as I say, that we're not looking for specific areas or specific modes. We're talking about the general mobility network in Dubai. So we want people from different areas who are living in different areas or working in different areas to engage in the public, not only the public transport, but the transportation network in general. So it could be bus routes, it could be shared mobility options, it could be soft mobility options. So not only the bus routes.
And maybe I could just add something to this challenge too, because I think there are lots of different ways that it can be handled. And Rajas mentioned gamification as one example. And what we heard, for example, that Singapore did as part of its latest transport plan was it sourced ideas from the public in various ways, including one way was through a kind of transport planning game. Their game was a fairly simple one and not an online one, a kind of old-fashioned one, but one kind of way that we thought you can get really interesting input from the public in a way that's interesting for the people giving information as well, is through some kind of maybe a multiplayer game or simulation software game approach. So we're looking for innovative ideas to improve people's input into the transport planning process, hopefully giving them a sense of contributing and engaging with RTA, and also giving RTA some new ideas and some new data and information that it can use to improve the transport network.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a question around the soft mobility challenge. They're asking if you want to use bicycles instead of businesses. Maybe we can just explain more about the shared and soft mobility.
Sure. I mean, soft mobility is an expression that's used to refer to the smaller modes in general. Actually, it includes walking, is apparently a form of soft mobility, but also scooters, bicycles, and I would say probably that's where you would draw the line, unless you want to invent another transport mode, which of course would be very cool as well. But maybe also some kinds of what we call other micro-mobility solutions could be included as well. So something a little bit more robust than a scooter. There are various types of 2 and even very small 4-wheel vehicles that might just about fit the definition. I guess you could say in general these are going to be modes that are not using, but depending, well, in Dubai anyway, they're not using the main kind of highway network. They would require some kind of special routes, special roads, special areas of pavement, for example, to run on.
Thank you, Adam. So we have another question asking how people supposed to suggest RTA about transportation from mobile app, or startup should create a challenge.
I mean,
Yeah,
it could be mobile app. It's one option, but we're not asking specifically for mobile app or setting the limitation for a mobile app. It could be mobile app. It could be a game in one of the social media platforms. It could be in the website of RTA. It could be another platform. So as I said in the beginning, we're not setting the limitation for this challenge because we want you guys to be more creative and more innovative and give us the most suitable way that you think from your point of view that will make public more active, or more like it should be more appealing for people to come and use it, because it's going to be fun, not something that you just come and write your suggestion or your idea.
okay. One more question, and it's more about the program. So they're asking about the amount of time that will be required for the first 3 weeks in phase 1. Basically, phase 1, 3 weeks will be like we'll have a program calendar with different workshops and sessions, one-to-one meetings with RTA in order to just give you a better idea and view about the challenges and the solution that RTA is required. So there is no like specific time required that is known for now, but this will all be shared during phase 1 or before starting phase 1. So we have one more question, and maybe we can end the webinar for today. If you have any questions, please write them down, or I will share the email after the Q&A session, and you can email us with all your questions. We'll answer them as well. So the next question, could the business councils, such as Canadian Business Council of Dubai, help you spread the word regarding this? Yes, definitely, for sure. So we'll wait for a few minutes, maybe someone can.
I think there is someone asking about the weather challenge in Dubai in terms of the shared or the software mobility. So, I mean, we're aware that we have this kind of challenge, especially for the walking and biking, especially that in the summer and the heat, we have like reduction of the use of these kind of modes. And maybe this is why we're asking for this challenge, because now there are like the new modes, like small pods that works on electric energy, or that maybe they can be like a closed or AC. So we're open to these kind of options that maybe we can encourage people to use them in the summer, while in the other seasons they can go in the traditional way for walking and biking.
Okay, thank you, Ravas. So, if you have more questions, so we'll wrap up the Q&A section, and if you we would recommend you to visit our website to really understand the challenges, and email us. As you can see, you have the link to our website and the email address. You can always send your questions, and we will answer them as soon as possible. The application deadline is September 20th, and please follow us on our social media accounts to know more and be updated of our challenges and about our challenges updates. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we hope to see you during phase 1 and see your applications with us for RTA's challenge.